Hey guys, Cobra A and Hay here. So today I wanted to show you a look at my custom Chinese infantry. Now, this isn't all of them, but just for me to show you. I know these aren't where they're supposed to go either, but just to show you a detailed look of how they're supposed to look on the table. So first up, we have the Chinese infantryman. And if I can get it to focus. Well, so basically, what I've done is painted the coat with a dark green color, the face with a kind of dark tan, the legs I gave them like a khaki color, and everything else is brown, and on the hat I gave them a blue emblem to represent the Chinese nationalists. Uh, the way I'm going with painting the bases, I've seen people paint them ground colored. I've seen them add 3D textures to them, uh, things like that. I've even seen people somehow get roundels on the bottom of those, which, I mean, I can't imagine doing myself. But what I've decided on doing is picking two prominent colors that represent the country's roundel. And for China, I chose the blue in the middle, white on the sides. And I've decided also not to put any white on top of any of the roundels. I'm going to save that for neutral countries. But that's the infantryman. Next is the one aircraft that the Chinese get. And it's supposed to be represented by a P-40, and that's what they do have. But in my haste to get these done, I ended up picking just an Anzac fighter. So, yeah, but when you're painting units and you want to use a Chinese fighter, then just pick whatever fighter you deem easiest to paint, or if there's a nation that has way more fighters, just take one from that if you don't want to buy one. They're a couple cents on historical board gaming, so it shouldn't be too hard to apprehend just one. But I've marked all Chinese ground and air units, unit, with a blue on the outside, white on the inside dot, just to show that it's China. Now it's the same roundel marking that I'm using for Anzac units, but the thing is that this plane is painted completely differently from the Anzacs. My artillery looks totally different from Anzac artillery, and I think it matches Chinese units. You're not going to have Anzac units in China most of the time. I mean, yeah, it's just not the best tactical decision, unless you're having a great game. But yeah, this is pretty simple. I just used the same dark green as the coats on the infantry. It's got just a little kind of yellow blur on the side that's supposed to represent the flying tiger, and silver cockpit, and just a red tip. And I'm using Seared Blood's version of magnetizing all the airplanes. And so with this, just so nobody's sneaky or anything, I picked to not paint the underside with magnetic paint, just so that some person doesn't try to use the cheat of placing this on top of an aircraft carrier and taking it away for whatever reason, just to get on my nerves. But yeah, so that's the Chinese fighter. Next is the Chinese artillery, which is pretty simple. It's just an American artillery piece, same color as the coats of the infantry. Didn't do too well on the dot with this one, but it's just the same blue with white dot in the center. The tires are painted black with a green dot in the center to represent the wheel. And then some of the Chinese infantry, about half, and all the artillery, pretty much all the ground units that I've been making and ships, they get a brown wash, just to represent some mud or wear and tear. But yeah, China I've just chosen to only take 3 pieces of artillery, just because I think that's a good number, and usually China's not pumping artillery all the time. Next up, you might have noticed that most of the time in your games, China only has 3 types of units. They've got infantry, they have 1 fighter, and they have the artillery pieces. But I've also decided to add cavalry to my game. Now, these are some cavalry pieces that I painted, and so they're from Risk, if you haven't noticed already, and I'll show you what an original cavalry unit looks like right now. Magic. Okay. Cheesy magic tricks aside, this is a normal Risk cavalry unit, and what I did to them is just simply washing them. Oh wait, no, I didn't wash these. Made that mistake, same as the rest of the Chinese, as I said in the last video. Yeah, but painted them, and then I also, before I painted them, cut the little feather off the top of them, so that would not get in the way of, and it would also match the rest of the Chinese infantry. Kind of looks like the Chinese infantryman's cap. But yeah, and so I've got this brown horse, and then a black horse right here. This one I think I like the most, just because you can really see all the detail on it. The silver sword, the reins and everything, and the trooper that sits on top of it. They're painted the same, with the green with the tan face on top and the blue marking on the tip of it. Yeah, but roundel too. It's not round to match everything else, which I don't like, but hey, even if I bought these on Historical Board Gaming, which, if I were you, unless you already have a Risk game, I suggest possibly buying cavalry units, because I'm just using Seared Blood's rules, where China can only have 3 on the map at one moment, and if one is killed, they can replace it afterwards. So I only needed 3, and I did not have Risk, and I just decided to buy a whole Risk game because I was at the Goodwill, and I said, oh well, it's $5, I'll buy it, and not really knowing that all I would really need is 3 cavalry, and I'm not a big Risk fan, so that's just kind of sitting around now. But if you did want to add cavalry, which I strongly suggest, cavalry adds a cool new dynamic to China in terms of being able to blitz around China, taking back territories with the movement of 2. I think it was attack and defend at 3, or it might have been 2. Yeah, but these are just great little units. They look cool. I think they're the coolest units on the board, in the Pacific at least. Yeah, but that's my cavalry unit, and they're pretty good. I think they cost 4 IPCs a piece, which I think is pretty good, comparing it to the infantry. Another set of rules, too, is just that in the beginning of the game, China gets their 3 pieces, and they can place them anywhere on a originally controlled territory in the beginning of the game, which is great for reinforcing Japanese advances, things like that, because of their easy retreats and things like that. So yeah, that's my Chinese cavalry. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed my custom painted Chinese units and the rules pertaining to them. So hopefully in the future I can get a better lighting situation, things like that, to help show you guys some of the more details, stuff like that. But I'm probably going to be releasing these videos from now on once every week, with a possible bonus video somewhere in between those. Things like Q&A, things like tutorials, stuff like that, with reviews being the mainstream thing. I'll shoot for 2 every week, just as long as my schedule pertains to it, as long as I have enough content too. Yeah, but hope to see you in the next video.